Good day, life science students. Welcome to video lecture episode 24. In this one, just remember that these lectures that I'm doing from this point forward are just simply review, and it's just information we've covered earlier in the school year, in particular earlier in this semester, that being semester 2. But I just want to make sure you understand this, and if there's any questions you have, you can leave them in the comments below or send me an email message. I'll be more than happy to answer and interact with. Well, fungus are in the categorization or within the kingdom of fungi. Now, if you're talking about multiple fungus, we call that fungi. If it's just singular, we call it fungus. All right. There's some other weird examples of words that their singular and plural forms are not like the usual we think of. For example, the word bacterium is singular, and the plural form of that is bacteria. The singular form of larva, which is Larva, the plural form of that is larvae, which is Larvae. And then just one more. The word criterion, that's singular, and the plural form of that is criteria. All right. Now, fungi are truly diverse and they are pretty amazing in their uniqueness. Okay. To date, in other words, currently, we have cataloged 100,000 species by name, but we estimate that there could be 1.5 million varieties of fungi, which is pretty crazy to think of. Now, fungi are commonly known as yeasts, mushrooms, and molds. They can be either single-celled or branching organisms that are different from plants and animals. All right? Now, like plants, fungi are eukaryotes having a membrane-bound nucleus. Now, unlike plants, they have no root and no stem. Fungi are not made of complex sugars like plant cellulose, starch, or lignin. They are actually made of a similar thing called chitin, which is similar to exoskeletons of insects and animal hooves or horns. Fungi actually have no photosynthetic capabilities. Now, like animals, fungi are consumers, meaning they need to consume something else to get their energy. Now, unlike animals, fungi have walled cells and digest food outside their body. They actually secrete powerful enzymes and digest the organism, usually a dead organism, but not always. Now, let's talk about the habitat. Fungi require moisture. In cooler, drier areas, they hide in the soil or inside the creatures they are eating. Now, check this out. The rainforest is moist enough that fungus can actually live above ground. Pretty crazy to think about. All right. Now, we cannot live without fungi, as they decompose all dead tissues of animals, plants, and life back into the soil ready for life again. Now, some are harmless, some are beneficial, and some are parasitic. Just wanted to make sure to give you some areas to, or at least ways to distinguish them. There are some that are harmless, meaning that they don't cause us any problem. There's some that we actually use that are beneficial. In fact, you guys probably remember I talked about gut flora, which is actually inside our intestines. But then there are some that are parasitic and can actually be harmful. All right. Now, what's pretty cool about these things is that when you look at them, you're like, wow, that is unique. Now, remember I told you guys before about one type of fungi that looks really nice, but it is deadly? Remember that's the Amanita? Okay, remember that's the one that has like the white stem looking thing, and then the red is like an umbrella. It's like a red top on it and it has a little white dots. Okay. Remember I also showed you those really big ones that can explode. I think there was a video I showed you where like this person like put it on top of a car and hit it and it blew up. It was really weird. Well, let's talk briefly about unicellular fungus. Most yeasts are unicellular. There are about 1,500 yeast varieties currently described. Usually, these types of species reproduce asexually, meaning they don't need another one to actually reproduce. They can just literally double themselves up. Their genetic information is split in half. Yeast are used for baking. In other words, they cause bread to rise, and they actually make alcohols like vinegar or drinking alcohol. Now, some pretty cool things to think about, or at least this one thing in particular, is archaeologists have excavated Egyptian ruins finding grinding stones and baking chambers for yeasted bread in 4,000-year-old breweries. So it's pretty cool to think that this stuff has not just been a recent invention, it's been around for quite a while. Now, let's talk about one that would be a type of yeast that would be parasitic, and that's Candida. Candida is a type of yeast which frequently infects the digestive lining, most commonly due to taking antibiotics to kill bacteria. The host bacteria suppress the yeast, so naturally as the bacteria die, the yeast colonies rises. Yeast can grow anywhere on the skin and nails, but it prefers moist areas such as the groin, genitals, hands, and feet, and where there is an infection. So just keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that while there are some that can be used, like we talked about, for making bread and alcohol and other things along those lines, and actually some actually can be just edible for food, there are some out there that are dangerous. Well, let's talk about some multicellular fungus, okay? Multicellular fungus. Anytime a fungus develops a hyphae, that's Hyphae, it is multicellular. Many hyphae are collectively called mycelium, mycelium. Now, a hyphae, there's one tubular filament made up of cells arranged end to end that grows through or within whatever they are eating. The mycelium, which is a mass of thread-like filaments that make up the body of a multicellular fungus. Just wanted to define some terms there's a little bit. All right. Now let's move on and just talk a little bit more about something that I think would be kind of cool and that is one of the largest living organisms is actually within this kingdom fungi. A single honey mushroom in the Blue Mountains of Oregon is thought to occupy over 2,384 acres. That's pretty crazy to think about how big that is. When you start thinking about that mentally, it's crazy. All right, let's see what else we can cover here. All right, so let's talk about beneficial fungi. Let's see if we can cover this a little really quickly as we finish up. Medicinally, they're used in fabrication of medicines. For example, penicillin was actually developed from the penicillium mold discovered in 1928. It's also used in healing botanicals. Reishi, maite, shiitake, and cordyceps are commonly used for their powerful immune boosting properties, and you can actually get some of these as actually like teas that you can prepare, which is kind of interesting. They're also used in food preparation, which we talked about, like yeast for bread and for alcohol. So there are beneficial ones out there. All right. Now, just some things I want to mention about medicinal mushrooms. The cordyceps, they have immune function and they help for endurance in athletes. The maitake, which resists infections and cancer. The reishi, which helps with liver damage, cancer, and high blood pressure. Shiitake, which helps with cancer, chronic fatigue syndrome, and high cholesterol. Pretty crazy to think. But once again, just because there are good ones out there, if you don't know what it is, make sure that before you eat something that you check out what it is and don't just make an assumption on it. All right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the discussion right here. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Reach out to me, send me an email. Have a nice day. Take care, students. Goodbye.